Talk Conversations brought to you by Barista. Hello and welcome to Think Talk Conversations brought to you by Barista. We're coming to you from the beautiful brand new Barista outlet in Nugegoda. And on the Conversations with Barista, we're going to be talking about very inspiring young leaders in Sri Lanka at the moment who come from different expertise, different industries, and all this about thinking tall, thinking out of the box. And what we really want to know from our leaders, of course, who are on the show is the trials that they've gone through before the triumphs. That's exactly what Think Talk Conversations with Barista is all about. And of course, today on the show, it's Ranshan Gomez, who is the Joint Managing Director of NextGen. Ranshan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's lovely to have you on the show. And firstly, before we dive into the business stuff of it, let's find out about you.
Okay.
Give us a little background on you being the Joint Managing Director of NextGen. What type of role do you actually play there?
So I've always been a people person. So
Right.
I've always kind of found myself in dealing with people, finding their strengths and weaknesses and managing that asset of the business, right? So I love just working with people, finding out what makes them tick.
Right.
And then putting them in the right position. My brother is the numbers guy.
Right.
He handles the costs, make sure the business is running to profit. Let's
Right.
put it that way.
So you're the fun guy.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so, yeah. Just handling people, man. I love it. I love the emotion. I love the challenges that come with each person, their story,
Right.
and how I can best utilize them to get the job done.
It's nice because you obviously loving people and the stories from the people. What we want here is your story,
Yeah.
which is what we want to basically get on Think Tall today.
Correct.
Now, you've had a background, you obviously come from a background in hospitality.
That's right.
You have a background in coaching.
Yep.
You also have a background in hotel management.
Yes.
Customer satisfaction,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
you said. Now, how are these skills, how have they influenced your approach to your leadership in NextGen?
Well, I think the customer point of it is about selling,
Right.
right? It's really about convincing someone that I have the best idea and how can your ideas improve my idea even more. So the customer service, the hotel school, working in restaurants, working at hotels and all that kind of come into this because I like to make sure that the people that work with me are getting the best out of my time and I'm getting the best out of their time. And of course, in the long run, that the goal is met together.
Right. Okay, now we're talking about, situations that we've been put into where you really need to think tall and come out of.
Sure.
I mean, especially when you work with people,
Yeah.
they come with, tons of issues and problems. And more often than not, you need to think out of the box.
Yes.
Because every problem is not really the same, is it?
Correct.
How does your background in customer satisfaction actually make you sit down and analyze each individual's problem as a different problem and think separately?
Well, I think from a staff point of view, my employees, the people that work with me,
Right.
I try to, if there's a big enough problem where you see that they're not meeting their goals, they're not firing on all cylinders, I'd like to take them, for lunch or just for a coffee and sit down and get to know them. Sometimes it could be as small as, the wife or the husband at home, there was some issue.
Right.
The child isn't doing well at school.
Right.
The maid or the helper at home left and they now have to double up on the work at home.
Right.
So all these little things is what makes people, right?
But why would you want to basically deal with something like that?
Because
What makes you tick in that way?
Because I feel like if I give them my time and effort and show that I really care,
Right.
that in return they're gonna give me and my business
Right.
100%, and
Right.
then we are all gonna benefit in the long run in terms of the company becoming something successful.
Has that worked though?
It has, and I would say there are certain times, of course, when they had to make the decision to leave, and I just had to part ways.
Right.
And there have been issues where there just clashes with people, and you have to take the executive decision to let the let one of the two go.
Right. Right.
The underperforming one,
Yeah.
even though their story might be sad and the
More compelling.
more compelling, absolutely.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the business has to run, and
Right.
if that doesn't happen, everyone, including myself, all the employees are going to lose out on their living.
Right.
So have those decisions are tough, but you have to do it.
You have to do them, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a specific project or initiative you're currently working on, which excites you, and it aligns with your vision at NextGen? Is that something that you can actually talk about?
Yes, absolutely. So we've partnered with the Vocational Training Authority of Sri Lanka
Right.
to set up a training academy where we will upskill workers in the construction field, in security field, in different fields going forward, upskill them, train them, improve their English, and then of course find them placement overseas. We partnered with some amazing people in the UK in the construction industry, some people in New Zealand in the aeronautical engineering industry. So our job is not just to find them a job and send them off. We want to make sure that they're the best version of themselves
Right.
before sending them anywhere, so that they're comfortable going into a different environment. And again, going back to the people, making sure that they are confident in their skill and they know that what they're getting into once they go there. We're not just throwing them into deep water.
This is a bit of a, I mean, you can't really necessarily say it's a risky industry, isn't it? But it's more of a, I mean, the people industry is also very volatile.
It is.
Very
I
volatile.
think the risk on this end is us not sending someone fully prepared
Right.
to an employee overseas,
Right.
and then them ruining our name
Right.
and the country's name,
Right, right.
and then leaving a bad taste in the employee's mouth, and then coming back to Sri Lanka, and then us having to, so that's why we want to make sure that they're ready before they go 100%.
Now, on what you've been doing with NextGen, like, and we just spoke about the fact that the risk factor
Yeah.
and the volatility that is obviously prevalent here. What would you say are the obstacles that you've actually encountered along the way, especially dealing with people?
Yeah,
There are tons of obstacles.
of course.
Especially dealing with any government entity. I'm not
Absolutely.
necessarily saying only in Sri Lanka,
Sure.
anywhere in the world.
Sure.
It's always the case.
Absolutely.
You have tons of obstacles. It's like 2 steps forward and 5 steps back.
Correct.
Right? What are the obstacles that you as a leader have actually faced to move forward?
Well, in this specific project, I would say the obstacles were mainly getting approvals done,
Right.
Whether it's with the Board of Investment, whether it's with the Foreign Employment Bureau, just filling out all the paperwork. I personally would love if everything was digitized and everything was super easy, but that's not the case, right? So we have to do what is necessary.
Right.
So having to meet those people that are in charge of doing the form work and making sure everything gets passed. So some people are tough. Some people just don't have the time for you. So you have to go put the little bit of extra sweetness in and kind of get them on your side.
Charm them.
The charm, exactly,
Charm.
exactly. And I've been lucky enough to be blessed with the gift of the gab and making sure that people feel loved.
Right.
So I use that, and
Right.
I think some of the other obstacles have been setting up the center itself. We've got approvals for one thing, and then the next moment a gazette comes in or some sort of change happens, and then we're left with having to go meet the next person to make
Right.
sure they're on board as well with the same project.
Right.
So in terms of the government part of it, I would say that's the main thing. The next part would be our partnerships.
Right.
Our partners in the UK, are they happy? We bring them down here, treat them, make sure that they know that what they're getting from us is of value. I would say the obstacle on that end really is just understanding what they need on that side.
Right.
And there's a lot of red tape in the UK, which we've learned now as well. 'Cause
Right. Right.
there was a petition put in to reduce the number of people coming into work.
Right.
So that, in the middle of our project getting set up,
Right.
happened. So
Right.
then we're like, okay, is this worth still doing? And then after that, they said, oh, you can't really bring your spouse with you. So now we promised some people that you can take your families with you, and then now it's a no. So that obstacle, having to then go back and explain to them, eventually, you will be able to.
Right.
But for right now, just, prepare yourself to go and work and get that opportunity. And then the consulate in the UK, we have to send the visas through them. It's just learning all this that whole part is new for me.
Right.
I'm able to deal with people, but this systematic
Bureaucracy.
exactly
Right,
yeah
right,
it's
right.
it's something other people have done for me
Yeah.
in the past
Yeah.
and I've got people to do, but just wanting to learn and make sure that I know everything is scary, but it's exciting.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I mean, reflecting on your journey so far, can you actually share a challenging moment in your career that really tested your resilience and your determination? Or you actually came up to a point that you're just about to throw in the towel,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, that's it.
Sure.
I can't do it.
Sure.
And what got you through that point?
Well, we've started a lot of businesses. We've got into a lot of different industries. I think over the past.
Let's not talk about NextGen
Yeah,
itself.
exactly. Yeah,
In general,
absolutely. In
your
general,
career,
yeah. So we had a hotel project in Uswara Kea, which was a beautiful idea. A wellness center treating cancer and all these things using natural remedies. We
Right.
had doctors from all over the world, practitioners that spent millions of dollars just setting up the place. And 3 months in, we found out that the main person who put this idea to us and made us invest all this money was a fraud.
Oh wow.
And then that was one thing. Literally the next year, COVID happens.
Right.
And then the whole place shuts down. We have to send 80 people home overnight. That was tough, and just the first thing happening when we found out this person wasn't who they said they were and really wasn't going to give us everything they promised.
Right.
It was a huge, what are we going to do? We've already invested all this money in there. And I was in charge of that project. So everyone kind of looked to me for answers. And that coupled with, things that happen in your personal life, which I feel like affects me more than work itself. So I'm very good at differentiating the two,
Right.
leaving my stress at work and not taking it home.
Right.
But yeah, that was one instance. And then we had another opportunity. We had taken over Chariot.
Right.
Popular name growing up in
Yeah.
terms of the food
Yeah.
industry. We thought it was a great business. We invested, we took over it, and then realized how tough it was. How tough that short eat business
Business
is.
is.
I mean, Parent Sons are doing a fantastic job because they have the scale
Right.
and the franchising model. But we didn't really see that part of it.
Right.
We took over thinking, we'll open new outlets, a couple of places here and there, but then that's more money, that's
Right.
more hiring staff. And then every time you have an outlet, I feel like, 3 guys can run this place.
Right.
But the manager's like, no, we need 10. Why do you need 10?
Right.
Because
just
the manager
couplets.
just likes to sit there and manage.
Right.
He doesn't like to get his fingers
Right.
dirty.
Right.
That's people's mentality. I'm the manager. Why would I clean the table? And then just trying to ingrain that in them, and then they'll complain that, service charge is not enough. Like, well, if there was 3 of you, it'd be split 3 ways.
Right.
But since you wanted 10, now it's split 10 ways. But just getting to that point, like people just don't get it. So that part of the human capital is tough. And of course, the business then kind of tanked from there. Each outlet was not doing as we expected. And we were very lucky enough to sell that brand off just prior to everything kind of going haywire in the country.
Right.
And got out of that business. So again, a lot of experience, a lot of learning from those. Like I said, there's so many businesses that have failed, that we've invested time and money. And, I'm 34 and I probably came back to Sri Lanka 8 years ago.
Right.
So in that short period of time, I feel like Jwave with our tech projects, it's going okay. NextGen is looking like it's going to be a success.
Right.
But everything has been a challenge.
So it's not as honky-dory as Ranshan Gomez looks on
No.
social media is it?
Absolutely not. I'm a fun guy. I love going out and showing people a good time, making sure they feel good. When others feel good, I feel good.
Right.
But behind closed doors, it's like a whole nother ball game. At home, whether it's my kid ended up in the hospital, my wife going through something with her family, or
Right.
in her own business, having to deal with all those, because as the man in the house, I feel it's my duty to make sure everyone at home is okay first, and then having to take that mentality to work is It's very challenging, but
That's one of the reasons that we actually wanted to do this Think
Yeah.
Talk Conversations, because what we see more often than not on social media, on different platforms,
Yeah.
is just the success stories,
Sure, yeah.
right? At the end of the day, you see the individual talking about the success of their business,
Sure.
or how they've actually got there and what they're doing when they get there.
Yeah.
No one realizes the amount of trouble, the hardship, loss of money,
Yeah.
losing friends along the way
Exactly, yeah.
that actually go through the
Very
whole
true.
process in actually getting there.
Correct,
Because it's funny for me personally. That's why we wanted to do this,
Yeah.
because that makes real stories.
Yes.
Not you being successful.
Sure.
Right.
It seems more unattainable when it's just like, oh, this person did this.
Exactly.
But how did they?
How did they get there? And the problems and the issues
Yeah.
and the
challenges,
trials
yeah.
and the challenges that you've actually gone through. Like
Yeah.
everybody who's actually successful didn't wake up successful.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.
they had to work hard.
Exactly.
Irrespective of the fact that they were maybe even born with a silver spoon.
Sure.
They still had to work hard.
Exactly.
You know, so it's those stories that we want to actually bring about.
And I think you bringing that up, it's a great point, because I've made it a point in my life to not really post even about the successes,
Right.
You know, and the journey on my social media, because I feel like, you know, everyone has something to say, everyone has an opinion, right? You can't please everybody. Even the NextGen, this is the first time I'm actually talking about the whole project in public.
Right,
Or
that's great.
Outside the home,
Wow.
because we finally launched 2 days ago.
Right.
We launched the project. It's good to go.
Okay, great.
And yeah, I haven't posted anything about it. I haven't told my friends about it, because I just didn't want any energy
Right.
on the negative,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
I guess I'm a believer of energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a tough journey, but sometimes very lonely,
Of course.
you know, very lonely journey. And not everyone will understand where you're coming from. Everyone will have an opinion. Everyone will try to tell you, oh, you know, you should do it this way.
Exactly.
But no one will understand being in it, how tough it is.
So, Ranshan, let's basically look at the in moments of trials and difficulties that you've obviously gone through. What sources of support or inspiration do you sort of keep to stay motivated in situations that you've actually gone through?
Well, besides my wife being a huge support for me, I would say my faith. Really, that's what it comes down to. Just having faith and knowing that everything happens for a reason. I'm here for a reason, and everything will work out. You know, it might not happen today, it might not happen when I want it to, but it'll eventually happen for my betterment.
Okay.
So just believing in that and knowing that I could do a good job at work or a bad job at work, and I go home and my kids are happy to see me.
All right. That's now considering, like you just said, the number of businesses that you've obviously tried and
Yeah.
failed. What motivated you to keep going? I mean, anybody else would have just basically just washed their hands.
Yeah.
You just said you came back to Sri Lanka 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You would have left the country
Sure.
if you had lost the amount of money
Sure.
that you have
Absolutely.
lost. What kept you going?
Well, home is home. I've always wanted to come back. I always wanted to give back to Sri Lanka and do something positive here. So I guess that is the main driving force to kind of leave my mark. You know, my dad, successful. You know, he
Right.
worked his ass off to like get to where he is today. And again, nobody sees that side. They just see him enjoying.
Right.
And then they say, oh, you get to enjoy because of him. Yeah, that's what a parent is supposed to do, right? Make
Yeah,
their
exactly.
kids' lives better.
Yeah.
But I want to make my own self.
Right.
You know, and
You want to create your own niche.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, and we do different things because we want to find what that is. And we have the opportunity and the context to try different things, which is a blessing.
Right.
But just one thing fails doesn't mean, you know, that it's over. It just means that I've learned a whole lot from it. Because failures will teach you way more than success will ever teach you.
That takes us into the next question. I mean, how do you define success in your career and through your personal endeavors? How do you define it? What is success to you?
That's a very good question. And I think I've thought about it a couple of times, but success really stems down to relationships. You know, if I'm happy spending time with my family, my parents, my brother, because man, I've heard some stories about brothers not talking and fighting over business and money and
How are you guys though?
how?
How are you guys as brothers?
The closest.
Right.
Our relationship is amazing where you see us in public and we're talking to each other like we've never met before.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, don't you see each other like every day?
Right.
Like, yeah, we do. But
Right.
and we work super close together. Our families and so on. And so for me, success I think really boils down to relationships and the people around you, and how you make them feel, how they make you feel. That's what life is all about, really.
Is there a personal mantra that you sort of believe in or a personal mantra that guides your principles to keep you going? Something that you fall back, something that maybe your parents have instilled, your mom or your dad have instilled, a mantra that's so very close to you.
My mantra has always been just be yourself. I'm a very unique person. I know that. I've been told that I'm weird, I'm crazy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I just do nutty things sometimes,
Right.
And growing up too, so I've been called all sorts of things.
Right.
But that makes me who I am, And as long as I'm not hurting people and doing anything bad in that sense, I feel like my mantra is just be me, treat others with love and respect, and I'll always be myself. Yeah.
Looking ahead, what are some of your aspirations and goals in the future? Now, you just started NextGen. I am sure that your time and your service is going to be heavily invested in NextGen.
Correct.
I mean, that's not the only investment that you have your hand in.
No.
But obviously, I believe this is going to be more of your personal project that you want to take
That's
off.
right,
Yeah?
yes.
What are the other, in future, your aspirations and your goals, what you have lined up for you?
I think to get back into the hospitality field.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that is my passion. My passion is customer service, right? As much as the education side of things interests me, the tech, the gaming, all that. We opened Shoulders restaurant with the Harpo's group at Havelock City. So we've been running that for 3 months, So I've got the chance to go back into being a server, serving our customers, just being there. For me, that's my passion.
Right.
So if I can get back in the hospitality industry somehow, whether it's a small boutique hotel down south where, we go on the weekends and just kind of hang out there, serve our customers and do that, then that's a dream of mine to do.
So basically, hospitality is really your passion.
My calling, yeah.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Everything else that you've done right now is just maybe stepping stone to finally get into that.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, oh, find what you're passionate about. Find what you're passionate about and follow that. Passion is not always gonna make you money and sustain your living.
Right.
You have to find a skill,
Right.
hone that skill, improve that skill, and use that skill to create a business or something that will work,
Right.
which will then fund your passion.
Right.
Right. And obviously, I love playing golf. I love, doing that. And this is what is going to help me to do that for the rest of my life. Whether I retire at 40 or 50, NextGen and this business is what I'm using my skills to make it work for me to enjoy my passion.
Lovely. Well, Ranshan, we have come to the end of our conversation here at Barista. One thing, of course, maybe you can actually let everybody watching know right now. I mean, they see you as an influencer.
Sure.
They see you as a successful individual. Like we spoke about earlier on, they don't see what is behind Ranshan. They don't see the steps that you've actually got to where you are right now. And there are individuals out there who are struggling. There are individuals out there who are just about to throw in the towel.
Sure.
Like you said, passion doesn't pay the bills.
Exactly.
But you need to create the skills in order for you to obviously make sure that passion pays the bills.
Absolutely.
What would you like to tell them right now who are in situations where you have been before, where you had to think tall, where you had to basically come through those trials and come out triumphant? What would you tell them right now?
Firstly, have a great support system. If it's just one friend, if it's your mom or your dad or your sibling, talk to them. They might not always understand, but just put it out there. Talking to someone about your problems will help you immensely. Number 2 is faith. Whatever faith you believe in, just hold on to it and make sure that that things will get better. If you're down here, you can't go any lower. It's only up from there. So just keep working, keep grinding. And one day, maybe not tomorrow or the next week or the next month, but you will get there. So don't give up.
Lovely. Ranshan, thank you so much
Absolute pleasure.
for being a part
Thank you
of
so
the
much,
Think
Shaq.
Talk conversations. It was lovely to have you on the show.
Likewise.
It was
Thank
great
you.
to actually hear the, the Ranshan that people don't see. That's the most important
Thank you for the
thing.
opportunity. I honestly wouldn't have thought about doing it this way, but thank you.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it also at the
Yeah.
same time. It was lovely to have you on the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ranshan Gomez, right here on Think Talk Conversations with Barista. We'll be back with some super inspirational leaders as we go on. Keep watching right here, Think Talk with Barista.